How's it going, Bruins fans? Welcome into another episode of the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast from the Fans First Sports Network. Your UCLA Bruins Insider, Tom Cavanaugh. You can follow me at TCAV30 on Twitter/X and also follow our insider pages at UCLA Insider on SI, both on Twitter/X and over on Facebook. Today we're talking football, and we're going to be looking at what the most difficult or the toughest games will be this season for the Bruins. When you look up and down at this schedule for UCLA, I don't think it was all that tough, to be frank with you. I mean, you got Utah, UNLV, and New Mexico to start, three teams that you can easily beat and get out to a 3-0 start. You got Northwestern to kick off Big Ten play. That'll be a road game at Evanston, Illinois, but I still think that's a winnable game. So you look at it, a 4-0 start right there. I don't think any of those games are really all that hard, even with going on the road to UNLV and, as we mentioned, on the road to Northwestern. One little weird nugget about this season for the Bruins is they will go on the road every other week. So they don't have a home stretch. They don't have a road stretch where they're on the road or at home for multiple weeks at a time. It is home game, road game, home game, road game, all the way through from Utah all the way to the end against USC. So we're going to look at four games right here that I think are going to be the most difficult for the team, starting with at home on October 4th. That's a Saturday, facing the Penn State Nittany Lions, a team that made the college football playoff last year, got a win, but a really crushing loss to Notre Dame. They lost in the Big Ten championship game to Oregon. This is a team with a lot of revenge. You have a top first-round quarterback in Drew Aller that's going to be making his return for his final season with the Nittany Lions. And per ESPN in one of their latest preseason rankings, Penn State's number one overall in the country. I'd expect Penn State to really give the Bruins fits, even though this game is at the Rose Bowl. This is going to be a very, very tough contest. You go back to last year when UCLA had to play some really difficult opponents. They played Penn State. They lost 27-11 to the Nittany Lions. Not terrible. They played Oregon. They played LSU in a non-conference. They played the powerhouse that was Indiana. And I think it really starts with Penn State right there being just the toughest game in the first month and a half of the season, for several weeks. And I think it's the Bruins' first loss. I think they start 4-0 against the non-cons and then beating Northwestern, and then they fall to Penn State. Looking at the rest of this schedule, I don't think there's another really tough game for the Bruins. I think they're all fairly winnable after Penn State, all up until November 15th. So the games in between there is Michigan State on the road. That's a win. Maryland at home. I think that's a win for sure. Indiana on the road. That's going to be interesting, but I don't think the Hoosiers are anywhere close to as good as they were last year. Plus, the Bruins now have offensive coordinator Tino Sunseri, the former Hoosier OC. And then you have the Nebraska Cornhuskers at home. Matt Rule, Dylan Raiola looking for revenge after UCLA spoiled their homecoming last year. I still think Aim Aleva and the boys for the Bruins get it done and win that game. So you're looking at one loss in the first, 9 weeks of the season. You're 8-1 heading into Ohio State, and this is on the road at the Horseshoe in Columbus. This is the number 2 most difficult game for the Bruins, taking on this is the toughest game for them. It's just number 2 on the list here. I think this trumps Penn State. Ohio State, obviously, defending champions. They have a reloaded lineup in a few different aspects. Obviously, not going to bring back Will Howard, not bringing back Jack Sori on the defensive side. They do have Caleb Downs. They do have a new stud freshman quarterback coming in. And they obviously have Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, a couple of absolute dogs in the wide receiver room. So when you look at it, I think going on the road, cross-country to the Shoe is, nearly impossible to win in unless your name is head coach Sharon Moore or some sort of Jim Harbaugh action right there. So Ohio State, I think they cruise over the Bruins in this game. Plus, quarterback Nico Iamaleava, he's already got experience at the Shoe. He took Tennessee to the college football playoff and was whomped 42-17 by the Buckeyes last year. I don't think it's that bad of a blowout, but I still think Nico and the Bruins struggle. That's a tough game. I'd chalk it up to a loss. Moving on, so after the Ohio State game, I think all three of the games at the end of the year, the Buckeyes, Washington Huskies, and then the USC Trojans, I think those three are some of the toughest, most difficult games. So after Ohio State, you go next week at home against Washington. And the reason I think this is such a tough game is Washington's not the greatest in the Big Ten. They weren't last year, but head coach Jed Fish has the Bruins' number. After being the OC and interim head coach in 2017, Jed left to go coach Arizona and the Wildcats. Ended up going 2-1 against the Bruins in that span of 3 years, and immediately turned around and went to the Huskies last year and picked up a win against the Bruins, a game UCLA completely should have won. They blew that down the stretch. So this is a monumental game, and I think it's a tough one just because Fish is so good against head coach Deshaun Foster. As we've seen, he's very good against just really the scheme that UCLA brings to the table on a yearly basis. So even though Washington might not be all that great, I still think they're going to pose issues for the Bruins. I do think UCLA gets this win, though, in a gritty battle, and they'll pick up win number 10 on the year right there. Win number 9 on the year. You got USC at hand here on the road at the Coliseum to finish out the regular season. And by this time, in my predictions, UCLA will handedly have themselves a bowl game. But if they can get to 9 or 10 wins with this rivalry contest, it's going to mean even more. But I think it's difficult because obviously no matter the talent level of either side of these two teams, UCLA and USC is always a good battle. And the Trojans, they have won, I think, every other year since 2021. It's been back and forth, but the historic series is heavily in favor of the Trojans. This is going to be a tough one. The 19-13 was the final score last year. USC got it done on the road at the Rose Bowl, and now it's going to be the Bruins' turn to return the favor. And for USC, I know they lost Julian Lewis, who was supposed to be their 5-star stud at quarterback. He ended up transferring over to Colorado, but this is a historical program. Head coach Lincoln Riley's going to have his boys ready this season, and I think this is obviously going to be one of the most difficult games. It's one of the most rowdy games of the season as you get the crosstown foes going at it, both sides, ton of fans that are, pretty much a split right down the middle crowd. This will be fun. And if the Bruins are in a position that I expect them to be in towards the end of the season, this is going to mean even more. I'll give UCLA, I'll give the Bruins a win here, and they pick up win number 9 or number 10 on the season. And they might make a college football playoff when all said is done. And we'll see how they turn out in the Big Ten. Probably behind Ohio State and Penn State because those two teams, obviously upper echelon, top dogs. Nobody's really able to beat them on a yearly basis. But other than that, I think you get a couple of other big wins in difficult games, beating the Huskies and Trojans to finish out the year. That's going to do it for us here on the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast from the Fans First Sports Network. My name is Tom Cavanaugh. Follow me at TCAV30 on Twitter/X, and also follow our insider pages at UCLA Insider on SI, both on Twitter/X and over on Facebook.